And then last 1 minute you're on the screen. Whole world is watching. Okay? At the last Women's World Championships, 400 million Indians watched the fight. Final fight, an Indian is fight. 400 million. Okay? So at Olympic Games, if whole of Brazil is watching, whole of Sri Lanka is watching. Okay? So you walk, and then the countdown, 9, 8, 7, 6 on the clock. The moment 0, the door open, and the guy with the Sri Lankan flag, a Chinese lady, will walk in front. With Sri Lanka, another lady, the boxer, myself, and the coach. And that time, your heart rate is at a different level. And my last words were, Puta balala gahanda, which was a mistake. He waited 10 seconds for the first punch. The Brazilian scored first, scored the second punch, 2-0. Now the pressure builds up. And we lost the fight. 9 minutes, 8 years of working, all gone. Vature gaya. We came back, the fight got finished at 7 o'clock. Came back to the hotel. We got up next day at 10 o'clock in the morning. Headlines in Sri Lanka. Rave says, Gomasge run padakkama billboard dolta vitarada. Right? Where is the gold medal that Gomas promised? I was a big boy. In a group director of Mass Holdings. That's a good person to hit. I was not bothered. I was thick-skinned, tough SOB. Right? I did my job. Okay? Aniruddha was shattered. He said, Sir Balanda, Sir Katta Kala, Urudu Garan Gihilla, me Sir Tatama Yanna Baninne Hamekam. Uncle, I am not bothered about it. Matalogu Nayak Tibba. I hope everybody understands Sinhalese here. Sir Logu Nayak Tibba. Monka Mona Nayande. I said, Urudu attack. Sir gave Salli, because I always bought my ticket, all my costs are my costs. Sir, ලෝකේ වටේ ගියා රටවල් 20කට ලීව් දාන්න නැතුව කචල් දාගෙන ගෙදරින් කෑ ගහනවා ළමයි කෑ ගහනවා මේ මෙඩල් එකේ හින්දා මට උරුනේ මේ මෙඩල් එක දීලා සර්ගේ බෙල්ලේ දාන්න දාලා සර්ට වදින්න එතකොට මගේ නාය ඉවරයි මං කිව්වා එහෙම නායක් ඇත්තේ නෑ අපි දෙන්නම ගියේ දිනන්න මට අවුරුදු 50යි ඔයාට අවුරුදු 30යි තව අවුරුදු 20කින් මට 70යි මම 70 වෙනකන් ඉඳීත් දන්නේ උඹට 50යි that means 4 more Olympics. We'll try when you're the corner man and when we win the medal, when the boxer puts it on your neck, we call it quits. It took me another, from 2008, another 10 years, 2018, after 68 years, for us to win 3 medals at the Commonwealth Games in Australia. It took me nearly 20 years to win these medals. And the country last medal was 68 years ago, before I was born, the last Commonwealth medals. So what I'm telling, I'm asking you all today not to win a gold medal for the Olympic Games. I'm asking you a simple thing. Do the right things. 5 things I told you. Niyatamanikama. I went to Harvard Business School, Wharton Business School, and I taught at Oxford and Imperial. Those means nothing if you don't have the Niyatamanikama. I tell them, you don't have to go to Harvard to learn Niyatamanikama. Niyatamanikama, learn now. Be humble. Second thing is mental strength. If they read my CV, you might think I'm the Superman. I tell them, there are 5 pages of my failure. Starting from my boxing, from my A-levels, to my CMA exams, and my love affairs. Every damn thing was a failure first. Okay? But I never gave up. Never give up in life. The third thing is resilience, humbleness, humanity, consistency, and meritocracy. And I hope that I taught you all enough inspiration in this graveyard shift, which I called, to all of you all, to the fathers, to the younger guys, to the mothers, right? To inspire yourself so that we have a better Sri Lanka, so that my daughters and you all will have a prosperous and a better Sri Lanka in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diane. We are truly honored to hear your aspirational words, which definitely make Exposition Issue 19 much more vibrant.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have been all waiting for is here. For nearly 2 decades, Exposition magazine has consistently delivered top-notch content, merging management and IT expertise. The newest issue continues this tradition, offering thought-provoking articles aimed at pushing the boundaries of your business thinking and fostering growth.
Centered on innovation, leadership, and entrepreneurship, our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and insights vital for thriving in today's ever-changing business environment.
The symphony of language is truly magnificent, with each word carrying its unique melody. Words become a compass, guiding us through unexplored landscapes of innovation and discovery. In a world driven by innovation and collaboration, the intersection of management and information technology is where the future unfolds. The Industrial Management Science Students Association of the University of California proudly presents Exposition Issue 19. Which transcends the customary boundaries of management and information technology. Breathing life into a concealed world.
And it's my honor to invite the editors-in-chief, Chamilya Hampat and Abhivarshini Sudarshan on stage to officially unveil the 19th iteration of Exposition magazine.
Together with them, we cordially invite Mr. Diane Gomez, our keynote speaker for the day, to accept the first copy of the magazine. The first copy of Exposition Issue 19 will be presented to Mr. Diane Gomez by the Editor-in-Chief, Chamil Lehampat. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now witnessing the launching of Exposition Issue 19.
Mr. Dan, please remain on stage. Now let's take a moment to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed keynote speaker. In appreciation for his exceptional contribution, we would like to present a small token of appreciation. Mr. Dan, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and making this event truly memorable.
In an era defined by the seamless integration of creativity and technology, we are always encouraged to sync with these new trends and sustainable practices in the digital age. So, to officially launch the e-magazine of Exposition issue 19, I invite Dr. Dilani Vikramarachi, Senior Lecturer at the Department of Industrial Management, on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are witnessing the official launch of the e-magazine of Exposition issue 19.
Thank you, madam. Next, we are moving back to a distribution of another special token of appreciation. To present the tokens, I invite Senior Lecturer Ms. Chalani Oruthodarachi, Lecturer at the Department of Industrial Management, on stage. The motivation derived from inspiring words and sharing experiences is immeasurable. Within the pages of Exposition issue 19, we were fortunate to have 4 other notable individuals who imparted invaluable insights. It is incumbent upon us to express our gratitude and appreciation for their significant contribution to this masterpiece. To accept the tokens of appreciation, I invite Ms. Kanchana Priyakanta, co-founder and CEO of K-Readers. Dr. Ananda Handunge, CEO, Solid Tire Division, Ferentino Tires. And there are two more individuals who were not here due to previous commitments. However, I would like to invite Ms. Metma Amashi, Executive Strategic Alliance from Oral IT, to collect our dedicated token of gratitude on behalf of Dr. Upendra Piris, CEO of Oral IT. Thank you, everyone. Also, we cannot forget the immense contribution of Mr. Santosh Veeraman, Managing Director, BNS Production and STM Films, even though he could not join today. We all know BNS ushered in a new era in the music industry, showcasing the different aspects of businesses to Sri Lanka.
Now, on to the next thrilling segment of the today's occasion. Stay tuned. Data democracy, empowering individuals in the digital age and navigating subsequent challenges. Explores the evolving landscape of data ownership and access in our increasingly digitized world. This topic delves into how the democratization of data empowers individuals by granting them greater control over their personal information and digital footprint. However, it also addresses the complexities and obstacles that arise, such as privacy concerns, security risks, and ethical considerations.
Through this exploration, we seek to understand the balance between harnessing the benefits of data democracy while effectively navigating the challenges it presents in today's interconnected society. Therefore, next up, we are ready to commence perhaps one of the most significant parts of today's event, and that is the glorious Industrial Forum 2024. Introducing our panelist, Mr. Asela Vaidyalankara, Managing Director at Talos Consulting, an independent cyber security consultant, Mr. Tushara Ratnaveera, Chief Manager, Head of Mobile Experience at Samsung Sri Lanka, Mr. Sanjeev Alvis, Chief Executive Officer at BCS Technology International Private Limited.
As the host for the Industrial Forum, today we have another special person. He is a presenter at both Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. He is a freelancer and most importantly, he is our own undergraduate of the Department of Industrial Management. Let me warmly welcome Sonal Paranavithana. Sonal, it's over to you to continue the Industrial Forum 2024.
One, two. Technical. Work still, but I hope we will be okay to move on. Yes. Okay. So, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to an amazing showcasing of information, insights, ideas about the topic at hand for today. A grand welcome as we kickstart the most anticipated session of the launching ceremony. So I'm the moderator for this evening. So we do have with us some amazing individuals who are ready to rock the stage, and I kid you not, they will definitely rock the stage because I've had a conversation with them before, and they have some super interesting stuff to share with all of you. So the title of today's Industrial Forum is quite interesting. The discussion will be carried out based on data democracy, empowering individuals in the digital age, and navigating subsequent challenges which comes along with data democratization. We're definitely in for a treat, and I certainly hope that you will grab something extremely valuable out of this discussion, graced by these wonderful industry giants. Okay, so like I said, technical difficulties happen, but let's not let that ruin today's forum. So ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to find out who the panelists are? I need some voice sound from the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, please, are you ready to introduce the panelists of today's Industrial Forum 2024? I'm gonna ask one more time. Are you ready? Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. First up, we have Mr. Sanjeeva Alves. He's a CEO at BCS Technology International Private Limited. And also he's a former director at Pearson technology evangelist, and a thriving entrepreneur. And next up, we do have the Chief Manager, Head of Mobile Experience Business at Samsung Sri Lanka and Maldives, specializing in product marketing and sales strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to Mr. Tushara Ratnavira. We have with us at Talos Consulting. He's an independent cybersecurity consultant and course director at the Bandaranaike Academy for Leadership and Public Policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to Mr. Asela Vaidalankara. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're definitely in for a treat. And before we the Industrial Forum, I just have a few announcements. First of all, for our dear panelists, wonderful to have each and every one of you here. Mr. Sanjay, Mr. Tushar, and Mr. Asela. We were talking backstage that each and every one of you can contradict with one another. You can argue, you can debate whatever you have regarding any arguments that you might have. And also, I would love if the audience members are very interactive. So we will be having a Q&A session after the forum. So keep your wits with you and keep your attention towards the forum, because this topic is very interesting and something that Sri Lanka in itself could use. And also, since we have esteemed industry giants present here today, a small request from the industry giants who are capable of promoting or advocating for Exposition, what we have to offer. If you have anything to take out from this forum, definitely you can use it in your own social media pages like LinkedIn. Will be pleasure. It's a pleasure to be featured in your forums as well.
Okay, we're all set, and let's talk about data democracy, shall we? So, data democratization. What is it? When you first hear about data democratization, it might seem a very complex topic, but today at Exposition Issue 19 launching ceremony, we'll be breaking it down to you what this exactly means and how we as Sri Lankans, as the Sri Lankan industry, and how the Sri Lankan undergraduates can utilize this concept. So my first question would go to you, Mr. Sanjeeva. Could you briefly explain to us, in a layman point of view, what data democratization is according to your perspective?
First of all, thank you, Sonal, for this opportunity, and I'm glad to be here today with the Industrial Management Department and this whole Exposition 2024 event. Very excited. So let's dive into what our main topic today is. We'll be kind of we wanted me to explain about the data democratization and in mostly in layman terms. I'd rather use a small analogy or an example where imagine, as most of you are here university students, right? You're like undergrads. So imagine you have a portal where you can access and see your alumni, like past students, how they have achieved certain positions or jobs in the market, and what sort of earnings that they have, and what sort of streams that they have studied. And if you can analyze that data through that platform, and if you can see like what sort of skill sets have been paid the most, and what sort of skill sets that you can inspire through that data. Like if you have like an open forum, open platform with a lot of data of all the pretty much students who have been here with your department, that will give you kind of an advantage to plan your career. Then you will understand like how much a career would earn me, like what sort of opportunity that career will open up for me by kind of going through those data. So this is kind of similar to what we are talking about, this data democratization. Data democratization means creating platforms, creating ways to easily access the data and publicly access the data. And of course there are positives and negatives associated with it. But of course we will go to all of them in detail. But this can happen at an organization level, and also this can happen at a country level. So imagine like within an organization, you will have different departments. The finance department will have different set of data, and marketing department will have a different set of data, and IT department will have a different set of data. How we can create a cohesive platform that will enable us to access these different level of data and achieve one common goal for an organization's vision. If you can enable that, that is data democratization. I'll give you another example. If you happen to read about this Indian medical app, Arogya Setu, as far as I remember, that which app during this pandemic they kind of started, and pretty much it has become the world's most downloaded health app or something like that. Over 100 million downloads and all. So this app kind of created a platform for Indian population where they will be able to access the health related data, especially whether these individuals have been associated with somebody who's got infected, or what sort of places that where they can get an appointment for a vaccination. So it kind of open up a whole set of data across the India to be accessible through this platform. So which is happen at a national level. We can do the similar thing within an organization as well, where how we can enable the data accessible across the organization, across the departments, so that we can get the maximum out of it. Of course, there are positives, negatives, a lot of debates around this, but I personally believe democratizing data in a meaningful way, in a more structured way, will enable the entire organization or entire country to move to the next step. And it will help, especially at a national level, it will help the marginalized communities how to achieve their goal. And at an organizational level, it will help the organization vision to be executed across all the departments if you have access in all the departments' data in a one common platform. This is pretty much my thoughts about it initially.
And thank you, Mr. Sanjay, for that answer. Now, data democratization in itself is a theory. So a theoretical aspect can be true, but then again, when you apply that to a practical environment, that also can be an issue. So we will be getting on with the practical aspects of it later on. But my next question goes out to Mr. Tushara. Mr. Tushara, if you can talk to us about, so you specialize in product marketing and sales. So if you can, at Samsung Sri Lanka, of course, and if you can just give us a brief idea, how can we, as individuals, as businesses, how can they use data democratization to empower product marketing teams to gain deeper insights into their customer bases and whatnot?
Thank you very much, Sonal, and thank you for this team panel also. And thank you everyone, and I would like to congratulate for each and every one of you who has done almost about 6 months hard works to launch this amazing product, Exposition 2024. So, like Sanjeev said, data democratization means bringing the access for the data each and every individual. I would add one more point to there, bringing the data for the non-technical people. So product marketing is all about non-technical. It's about the management side and how we got market the product and all. So how we can bring this data or the insights of this data to a non-technical people. For me, that's what data democratization means. So best example is all you know about the Meta platform, right? I don't think there is anyone is there who doesn't have any Facebook account or someone, right? So Facebook is one of the biggest ventures who are using this data democratization. So best example is how many of you have seen advertisements in your Facebook? For an example, is sponsored or something there, right? Is there anyone who has not seen any ad there? I don't think so. Someone is targeting you somewhere. How? That is the data democracy. Okay. So that means I am accessing you, but I don't know exactly whether I am directly targeting you or not. But based on the analysis of this background data, I can access you. That is thanks to the data democratization. This is one of the examples. Another thing is, now when it comes to the practical application side, for the product team, it's all about driving the product into the right segment, right market, and the right audience. Okay? But marketing means how they can continue and how they can make the conversion. So these two are having kind of sometimes a conflict interest. So with the thanks to the data democratization, now we can easily, simply collaborate these two teams' ideas and get the most positive and the most effective outcome of the whatever the campaign you're gonna run. So this is also one of the best examples I can give you with the data democratization when it comes to the product and marketing. And also other thing, now when it comes to the marketing side, there are so many platforms you can see. Right? And Meta is one of the platforms. Google, we have a massive platforms. I will take one of the local examples. How many of you know Coco app? Coco is kind of a installment basis payment application in Sri Lanka. They do evaluate the customers based on your NIC number only. They don't check your crib, basically your credit history, and whether you have any loan, you have any default things, anything they don't check. But they use your metadata to analyze your profile through this data democratization. Anyone of, can you guess how many points they check to give a credit point of one of the customers? I just need some answers from audience actually. Anyone? Come on, think of any number at least. Anybody? So, what do you think?
If you could clarify the question once more, Mr. Tushar, I'm sure they
Okay.
will answer.
So, Coco app defines your credit limit basically based on your NIC number only. Okay? So, I just want just to rough idea from your side. What do you think? How many points they check in order to define your credibility just based on the NIC number? Any guess from your side?
Clueless, but then again, if I had to take a guess, 4 or 5.
Not even, it's a kind of fraction as you said. It's about 1 million data points. Okay, it includes what sort of a device you use, how often do you use, what sort of a big device you use, how often, what sort of application you use. Based off all these things, it defines who you are, what you are, even though you don't know about it. This is the very simple example of the data democratization. So exactly, Coco doesn't know exactly who you are. They have never ever seen you. Okay? It is just a virtual app to deliver you some money. And as soon as you sign up, it will give you 100,000 credibility. Based on what? That is all about your history. But how can access the data? That is thanks to the data democratization. Okay. So it access your background data with very mannered way. It doesn't take anything from you. It doesn't take any bank account information in your device or any of your credentials, nothing like that. But simply the pattern of the usage of your device and the applications and how much time you spend and those things. So this is the analysis of that background data will give the result. Okay. So one more example let me add you. Let's say you have run a Facebook campaign. Okay. So how do you measure the result? Though the KPIs. Right. You set certain KPIs, but how do you measure it, basically?
If I had to guess, probably by the post reach or the post visibility, and you're given a certain statistics of some sort at the end.
I'll add to that point. One more point. Okay. So just imagine you don't have data democratization. Okay. You have a campaign which you need to post 100 posts. Okay. So I have a target. I have a number of reach. I have a number of comments. Basically, let's say I have a number of engagement. Then, if we don't have the data democratization, then we have to manually count these things, right? Manually count. Okay, how many likes I got each and every post? Okay, this post this much, this post this much. Can you do that? No, it's just waste of time, waste of money. That's where the data democratization comes. So it will give you in like Sanjeev said, just a simple dashboard with whether this campaign achieve my KPI or not. Simple as it is. So that's where we need more intellectual discussions regarding data democratization, how we can use this in a practical way. Because like Sanjeev said, he pointed out very correctly, there are many negative points also there. You have to be very much careful. So I think we can discuss some of the few things later. So this is a few examples from my side from the industry point of view.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Tushara. And well, I certainly liked your point about the Cocoa Up. Definitely, they don't have direct access to you, but then again, they have all those sources that they collect data so that they can make decisions about you. So that's a very interesting point that you brought up. And
Sonal, quick thing.
Sure.
So I'm using a Samsung. So probably I'm high rated, right?
I guess you're one of them.
well, I mean, I hope that half of this audience are using Samsung as well. But let's move on with the conversation. So now, when we talk about data democratization, it's actually allowing each and every one of you the ability to access any organization's data. So that becomes very important just because of the fact that there is a very thin line between data democratization and universal access to data. So I'm sure you're familiar with the CIA triad, where it says stands for C for confidentiality, I for integrity, and also A for availability. So in the CIA triad, more than I can explain, I believe we have our expert for the day, Mr. Asela, who would love to talk about. So I invite him to talk about the difference between data democratization and the universal access to data. What's the difference? Where do you draw that thin line?
Firstly, I'd like to extend my appreciation for the students who organized this fantastic event. From the moment we came into the university up to now, the experience has been fantastic, and I commend each and every one of the people who are involved in the organizing committee for being involved in this, and kudos to you all. I share the opinion of my other esteemed panelists that it was a well-organized event. You must be very proud of yourselves, and I hope the academic staff also acknowledge that. So first of all, well done. Secondly, it's a very important question. Basically, you threw a theoretical question at me, but I would like to first build on what my fellow esteemed panelists have said in terms of data democratization and perhaps why it's important in this day and age, what is that, and how slightly different it is with universal data access, and what's the good and bad of that, but with looking at it from the CIA triad, like you said. So CIA triad, very, very easy if you're studying information security: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, before I get to that, data democratization, why did this occur? Simply because sometime back, the Economist magazine, the world famous Economist magazine, called data the new oil. So basically now, the fight and the new treasure is data. And because of that, so many organizations have flourished. So many organizations in the last decade has become billion-dollar or even trillion-dollar organizations because of the amount of data they have accumulated on you. A good example of that is Meta. Long time back, when the famous Cambridge Analytica scandal came, it came to light that Meta had actually about 6,600 data points on you. It's much more now. And that is why, like why it was mentioned that suddenly when you think of something, there is an advertisement that appears on your phone. You never told anybody, but certainly the advertisement is there. Sometimes it's a little worrying, but that is what it is. Coming back to the question. So data democratization was aimed at organizations who had a large amount of data. And what happened was IT divisions usually sat on that data, and they basically controlled how that data was shared within an organization. Now, as data became very important, organizations also realized that within the staff, and very correctly, like Sanjeeva mentioned, within non-IT staff as well, this has to be shared. Therefore, the word democratization came into being, where the data was shared among everyone, where they could make very key decisions based on that data. Now, that's essentially something very good. However, there is controls and stuff that you require. Universal access to data is actually a more complex scenario, where you are asking governments, public sector data, to be shared and available to everyone. Because that argument is the data collected by government in some way or form is funded by the taxpayer. Therefore, citizens should have access and right to access that data. A good example of that is meteorological data. Now, ideally, it should not be with the meteorological department. It should be openly shareable. And basically, if anyone here wants to build an app, or anyone wants to look at historical data for any research purposes, you should be able to access that. But the truth of the matter is you are not able to access that because they are very much gatekeeping that data. So that's a conversation we'll get into. Coming back, now you look at CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The key difference in universal access to data is confidentiality is not given the same prominence, perhaps, as data democratization is given, because at least it's within the organization. You have to make sure people outside the organization don't have access to it. So still there's a focus on confidentiality. Integrity, both of them have to have very good integrity. That means the QA process, ensuring that the data is good, up to date, and accurate, needs to be ensured. Now that's more important in universal access to data. For example, a central bank sharing financial information, because it's digested not by just government, it's not digested only internally. There are so many people waiting for that data. There are economists waiting for it, there are aid agencies waiting for it, there's international agencies waiting for it. So the accuracy, the integrity of that data must be impeccable. Finally, we come to availability. Now in both cases, availability should be there. However, when it comes to the universal access, availability is a little more. It goes beyond the parameter of an organization and is available for citizens as a whole. Again, this is why most of the time public sector organizations or governments usually lead this initiative. However, that being said, there are enough and more instances or case studies where private sector organizations have in some way or form given access to data and been very successful and actually had a competitive advantage even for it. So I've just given you a very rounded answer. There's a little more depth into it, but I just want to get the conversation started about CIA, the data democracy, and as well as the universal access to data.
Wonderful. I'll take on. I was thinking to myself what Mr. Alcela said. Even the meteorological department are not disclosing their data. So one instance came to my mind, which was since all the undergraduates of the Department of Industrial Management are here, so in our year, we had to develop a mobile application, and for that mobile, it was a weather app for the module mobile application development. So we were supposed to get an API and connect it so that we were supposed to get the weather data and incorporate that to the mobile application. So we had to find wouldn't go that far, but then again, it was very hard for us to find a proper Sri Lankan weather pattern API or to access those data, because we don't have that freely available. So we get to your point. It doesn't make sense not to release it per se, but like you said, in industries like finance or healthcare, it can be sometimes an issue. But then again, data like those, data that can be shared with the general public, should be shared. So thank you so much, Mr. Alcela, for that. And we will be moving on with another question, which I have for Mr. Sanjeeva. So Mr. Sanjeeva has a very technical IT background. So he'll be answering. So if you could a general answer to this question. So from a SC perspective or a software engineering perspective, what are the things that you have to think about when designing systems and applications when data democratization is concerned? Because most of the time, companies are working separately. The teams, the cross-functional communication might not be there sometimes, and also the use of data might not be there. So
Conversation before answering you, like for example, Meta, as he correctly said, gathers a lot of data, but how much portion of that data have been democratized within the organization and outside the organization is a question. So we should not confuse with the terms. Data gathering, collecting, analyzing and using is a data management aspect. Democratizing means making them available, making them accessible across the board, whether it can be at a organizational level or it can be at a national level. So that I think that is where we need to, because our today's topic, we understand the importance of collecting, analyzing, and using the data. That is very much, we all understand that in the modern era, and how much of this data can be make sure that publicly accessible or accessible within that relevant organization. That is where the software engineering plays a pivotal role. For example, now you were asking about some design concepts, or rather design considerations as a software engineer that you should follow when you are designing a product or a data platform. So basically, I would say the first one is the more of a user-centric, because as our esteemed panel mentioned, the data is accessible to non-technical people as well. So your design has to incorporate tools and means so that it can be visually shown. It will have all these accessibility requirements. The UI UX design requirements should be there, because you are targeting non-technical people through this type of a platform. So that is one important consideration. And the second one I would say is the security. Security, Mr. Alcela is also here. He might add a lot of granular details into this. In my view, if you are democratizing your data, the most important aspect of security there is the anonymization. You should be able to remove the people, personally identifiable information from the data set and make that data more of a publicly available data by disassociating the people from the data, or disassociation the whatever the confidential part of it from the data, and make sure that the data is properly anonymized so that it can be publicly available. And this includes the role-based access and different level of access as well. So these two key elements I would put into the security bucket if you are designing a as a software engineer, if you are designing a data platform. Thirdly, I can think of the interoperability. For example, like how you make sure that the data is accessible by others. Are you following the standard methodologies? Is it through JSON as an example, or is it XML? How do you make sure that the data is accessible by others so that they can use that data for their own purposes? So interoperability of data is very important when it comes to designing a product. If you are looking at from an architectural point of view, and also APIs. You need to build proper APIs in a sophisticated way that the data can be made publicly available. Thirdly, fourthly, I would say it's about how do you scale. So this is like a humongous job. Data is, every passing minute in our lives, the data is being gathered, and the number of data points have been increasing, right? Every day-to-day actions of ours, even if you go after this session, if I go back, and when I'm driving back home, if I stop by at a KFC, there are multiple data points there. So every moment in our lives, we are creating data points to the entire world. So how do you scale your product to match that? How do you use technologies like cloud computing or modern scalable technologies to make sure that this is scalable? And on the flip side of it, how do you make sure that you retire the data? That is again a bigger problem, right? So some data are time sensitive or time relevant. After some time, there's no point. I mean, no use of it. So how do you retire some of those data and make sure that you are properly efficiently using your storage capacities, your software? So that is something I would put in as another design aspect. In overall big picture, how do you manage that? So that point takes me to another design element, which is the quality of the data. How do you make sure you keep the proper, as he mentioned, the integrity and the quality of the data? And probably what sort of tools now in modern days, AI has been playing a pivotal role in like removing duplicates or making sure that if there can be some gaps when you are collecting data, how do you fill those gaps by predictive analytics? Those type of aspects you need to think of when you are designing a proper software in the data world. And there are many other, but I'll mention just one other thing, which is the regulations and governance frameworks that are there. It can be GDPR, it can be HIPAA. So there are various government introduced ways of managing and retaining data. So we need to follow most of these regulations, and we should be able to, when we are designing our software, we should be able to comply with those standards. So if you are a software engineer, I would say you should look at all these aspects when you are looking at designing a proper platform that will enable you to democratize the data.
Thinking about anonymizing data and also the quality of data, and also considering the regulations and the standards with relevant to the system that you're building is quite important. So we have a graduate community which are focused on information technology, and ultimately they will be leaving with a software system development project they will be doing. So I feel this conversation is very much important for them, as much as it's important for us to stay here and talk about it as well. So thank you so much, Mrs. Anshi, for that answer. And moving on, I have a question for you, Mr. Tushara, which is, you have a variety of skills. Talk with you. I understood. So you mentioned that you are skilled in change management. So change management is all about predicting the future and strategizing for the future. So how do you navigate an organization specifically? You are into a leading tech giant, Samsung. So how do you navigate the organization towards data democratization?
I think that is very much and also very individualist question. The reason being, data democratization within an organization, it is not just a new department or something. It is just a cultural change. You need to change the culture. The culture has to be a data-driven culture. So that's why we need the data democratization within your organization. To change a culture, it is not just like, okay, next week we're going to change this culture. No, it is not going to happen. It's a long shot, right? Sometimes it may not work also. So you have to have many cases. But let me put in this way. So if any organization want to, democratize their organization into a very data-driven culture, then first thing is they need to have a vision. Why why we need to do this? Okay. And what is my objective? Whether do I align my data democratization objective along with the organizational objective? First, we need to understand that one. Not each and every organization wants a democratized system. Not everyone wants it. But if you want to have it, you need to align with your organization goals. The first thing is the vision. Second thing, you need to manage your stakeholders. Okay. You can't start the data democratization with the middle management. You need to have the top level. I think these two gentlemen are from the industry and they have their own companies. So they know how if we are to take that sort of a cultural changing decision, it should come from the top level, not from the middle, not from the bottom to top. It has to come from the top level. And plus, they should have the 100% support. They cannot be pulling legs here and there. You have to have full support. Otherwise, this system won't work. Okay? And this is the second thing. And the third one, that is the most important thing, is skill and the learning. So data-driven mindset doesn't come just from studying an Excel sheet and just studying from the dashboard. No, it doesn't come like that. You need to have a lot of skills. You should know how to read data. That is not very easy. It is not just like reading a novel and understanding it. Okay, it is just numbers. You convert numbers to words or the meaningful insights. It is not an easy job. If anybody is thinking we can just simply democratize our whole system into next day in a separate dashboard so I can have everything in a single dashboard, no, it's not going to work like that. You need to have skills to do that. To do the skills, you need to have a lot of trainings, continuous training. You need today technology, whatever the dashboard you made, next day it will be obsolete. You can't use that dashboard anymore. Then you need to have a separate dashboard. To do that, not only skills and the learning, continuous learning, because I need to learn, okay, how to do this today. And tomorrow I'm getting a new technology. And then how can I adapt that technology to my system? And then again I need to learn. This is a continuation process. So until the company dies, I don't know, I won't hope that, but until the company is vanishing or stopping your progress, you have to have the continuous learning. Otherwise, this is not going to work. You can't just, okay, I'll do the training for 6 months, and then, okay, now these guys are perfect for the data-driven system. Now, okay, my system is ready. Like Sanju said, okay, so we have made a system, and our system is ready. Let's use it for the next 10 years. No, you will die within 6 months. Because even the data will not be proper. And it's all about reading the data. So if the data is not proper, then your reading also will be wrong. And when the reading will be wrong, then your whole company will be taking wrong decision. Wrong decision will lead to simply the bankruptcy. That's the whole point. And so third point was the skills and the continuous the learning. Another one is the communication. We need to have very strong and very close and very clear communication, each and every department, because the data-driven system will work across the departments. Okay, So technical departments are having different ideas, different data, but marketing department is having different data, and then our analysis team having a different data. But what I want is, for an example, my marketing team wants to know the technical aspects of any product or a marketing strategy. So how can I know? I should be easily available this data through a very clear communication. If I don't have the clear communication, then it will be absolute. The clear communication doesn't mean the English wording or anything. Like this APIs, how easy we can use the APIs. Okay, whether it is a JSON, whether JSON is very complicated JSON or not. So those things we need to simplify. We need to have a clear-cut communication. And then again, Sanju rightly highlighted the governance of the data. There are certain regulations you need to adhere. Okay, if you don't apply the CIA concept to the data, what you use or what you are trying to analyze, then there can be so many legal issues, compliance issues. You must have seen what's happening recently in US, right? All of these big giant tech companies in a single forum, and all are attacked by their technical experts. Why? Because there is a mismatch, there is a miscommunication, and there is certain data governance was missing. There are so many leakages has happened. We have seen so many papers. Why? Because we didn't have the proper governance of the data. So we need to make sure whatever data we use, collect, analyze, store, everything is under pure view of any of the regulation. Even Sri Lanka now we are having, I think next year, the personal data protection will be applied. So there are certain things each and every person, when you collect any data, how you store, how you analyze it, where you do store, and how you destroy data. So everything is there. You need to align all those compliances with the data. Otherwise, this robust system will not sustain. And then again, the most important thing is how you visualize your data. Okay. So I'm not talking about the dashboard when I say visualize. So how can I visualize this whole ecosystem for my next 10 years? Okay. How can I use this whole ecosystem for my next project? Like let's say, okay, you are developing an app. Okay. So in order to develop, right, you said you need certain data, right? So by using this data, how can I visualize my future? So this is one of the most important point when we need to have when it comes to the data-driven change management, or if I'm making a data-driven culture. My highlight point is democratization within organization. It is not just a system change, it's a cultural change. You need to change your mindset to a data-driven mindset.
It's a very good answer. Mindset matters in everything, I would say. Mindset change, the culture change in any organization. It doesn't matter if it's a corporate, even universities, even government institutions, whatever organization it might be. You have to be open to change, because like you said, any strategy that you might take is obviously open to get obsolete. So you have to be able to manage change, adapt to change, and follow what Mr. Tushara said. You'll be good to go. So since you talked about the regulatory issues, Mr. Tushara, I would like to talk to Mr. Asele, who is an expert, believe me. So what are the legal and regulatory challenges some of the companies, or say the government, or whatever organization it might be, what are the challenges that they face when implementing data democratization initiatives, particularly in highly regulated industries such as finance or healthcare? So those are very strict, highly regulated areas of interest. So what are the challenges?
The challenge is, and I think that's a good question, and I commend both speakers for just building on the points. The challenge is this. The challenge is finding the balance between democratization and being open and ensuring that your data is protected. That is the challenge. Because what happened was, somewhere in 2018, GDPR was introduced by the European Union because they realized the same problem with Meta, that people were sharing their data. Sometimes their data was being collected. They realized that people have data rights, just like anyone would have fundamental rights. They have their own data rights, and those data rights were sort of codified and brought into a law under GDPR. What happened is, once that happened, and usually in the regulation world, especially in the tech regulation world, European Union is considered the gold standard. So 2018 they introduced GDPR, and we fast forward to today, I think majority of the countries in the world have followed the GDPR model, and governments have introduced data regulations within that country. Now in Sri Lanka also, there was a question, because in order for us to attract high net fund, FDIs, there was a question that was asked: what is our data governance framework within the country? Because we didn't have one. This stemmed the conversation sometime back before 2020 to introduce personal data protection and give data rights to individuals. Now, how is that going to match with data democratization? Let me tell you. Now, for example, the act that we have, which is passed in Parliament in 2022, the Personal Data Protection Act number 9 of 2022, there are about 5 or 6 rights that you and I, everyone in this room, has in terms of the data. Because when you, for example, shared your data with an organization, you have something called right of erasure. You can go to that organization and say, listen, now I've consented to your data. Of course, there's another right. You have to consent for the organization to collect your data, which comes into the situation because there are organizations that have collected data without your consent. Now I can ask anyone in this room if they've received a call from a insurance agent, and I'm sure you have, and the question you can ask is, how did you find my phone number? Because you didn't give it to them. Someone has shared it with them, and someone has shared it with them without your consent, because you never consented for that organization to call you. Same with, if you look at your SMSs today, you can see you're being spammed, with the lack of a better word, by organizations that you never know. You are basically, when you see the promotional SMS, you wonder how they got your number. And I often wonder that as well. That is because your data rights have been violated. These organizations have scraped that data or taken someone else's database and used that data to send you promotional materials and so on and so forth. More likely that's in their customer relationship databases now as well. So then your data rights have been violated for them to be democratizing that data. So that is the disconnect. That is where the laws have come in, where you are giving people rights. Now, for example, under this particular act, anyone who feels that their data has been shared without their consent can take it up with that organization. You can ask them, how did you get my data? And if they don't give you a sufficient answer, there's been a regulatory body that has been set up called the Data Protection Agency. You can lodge a complaint with them, and chances are that particular organization, if all goes well, will be fined for mishandling your data, and maybe you will also end up with a compensation as well. Like I said, if all goes fine. But that is the evolution of regulations. So that is the general law of the land. However, there are specific sectors also. For example, telecommunications sector, TRC has mandated some other controls for organization. Banking and finance sector, central bank has given. For example, you may say, right, somebody will come and say, under the act, you need to erase my data. My transactions with you have ended. Therefore, you need to erase my data. However, on top of that, central bank has said, no, you can't do that. All transaction data has to be kept archived for the next 10 years. So there are industry-specific ones. For example, if you're storing healthcare data, it has to be under HIPAA certification. Ideally, if you're storing healthcare data in a cloud, there are certain providers who don't do that. But if you have to do that, that has to be in a HIPAA certified cloud, because that's the certification that's available. That's a US certification for storing cloud data in healthcare data in the cloud. Now there's more. There are organizations, for example, export oriented now. They're giving services, they're giving products. There are mandates on them not to be perhaps compliant. Obviously, you have to be compliant with the local legislation, but you have to be compliant with certain standards. For example, ISO 27001. That is the information security standard. Now, there are organizations now, for example, they have to export to the EU. They have to be aligned to GDPR. Probably that's a very expensive exercise. What they do is they say, okay, the next best thing, I am going to be 27001 compliant. So these are the challenges that you have to weigh in from one end when you are trying to democratize your data. Because democratization of data, especially within an organization, will give you that flexibility, will make you agile, will make you more competitive, will make you better at forecasting, provided the data is good. That's another thing. Some people don't miss this part. The data is not great, and on bad data they try to make forecasts. So therefore, like Tushar very correctly said, you end up with bad results. But you know, you have to have that advantage, but you have to be conscious of the other aspects. Because this program that you have to do in terms of democratizing your data has to be done in line with the regulations and the standards that you have to follow for your industry as well as the country. That is why, as he very correctly mentioned, your data governance has to be good and robust. Now, data governance doesn't mean the IT department takes care of it. This is where most organizations lose the plot. Because they think, right, okay, we have IT department, they have the servers, they have the cloud, they should manage the data. That's not true. And I agree with Tushara. You know, it is an organization-wide exercise. The governance should come from the C-suite. The governance should come from the board of directors. And very rightly so, it's very encouraging actually. Central Bank has now mandated that the board of directors is directly liable for any mishandling of banking and finance data. That's before even that was done in 2021, before the Personal Data Protection Act came in. And that's a very encouraging thing, because you have to ensure, just as you are democratizing data, you have to ensure that the protection of that data is there. You have to ensure that technical safeguards are there. You have to ensure, because end of the day, it's not your data. I think this is where people lose the plot. Because most organizations think, and rightly so, this is why I go to the same point Tushara made on a cultural change. The data is not yours. You are holding that data in trust for someone else, because it's the citizens' data. It is the consumer's data. Your customer data is not your data. But unfortunately, what happens is companies look at it and say, listen, I've spent X amount of millions of dollars on my servers. I spent so much on my cloud environment. Therefore, the data is mine. So this fundamental shift has to occur in terms of how you look at data. Of course, to make the data usable within the organization, yes, you can do the democratizing. That is required. Actually, for decision making, it is required. Sometimes to create a new product, and probably these two gentlemen know better than me, intra-department sharing of information is a nightmare. Sometimes, and actually you may need frontline customer information to launch a product. Just to get that may take you a month of Sundays. So that's correct. But always the caveat is you must be careful of the regulations, you might be careful of the industry standards, and you must be careful that it's indeed not your data when you're looking at this problem. So I hope I gave a sufficient answer for this.
Soral, I can, if you, sorry, yeah, to disturb. So I just want to give you a very small exercise, okay? Just think whether your information, personal information, is being misused or not, okay? Very simple example. There is one app, I'm not gonna tell the name of the app. When you install the app, if any unknown number calls you, you can see the person's name, right? Let's say if I call one of you guys, probably my number is not saved in your contact list. But you know who am I. How? How? So my information is stored somewhere, and that app is using my information, right? So this is one of the best example where we don't have the proper governance. So my contact number, my contact details, and no, just believe me, it is not just the number you see there. Other persons can see all of your contact list. All of your contacts in your mobile phone will be synced to whatever the app database. That's how it is being designed. But I'm not sure whether it is, I think some of the countries, they have banned that app. I'm not sure about in Sri Lanka. But this is one of the examples. So especially each and everyone is using mobile devices, right? So when you install any mobile app or anything, it always asks certain permissions, right? So if you are using a game, it will ask give the permission to access your contact list. For what? You have to think, you have to be vigilant whenever you give any kind of access from your personal device. So you are also responsible to protect your data, not just the ones who is collecting it. Because once it is gone outside, you can't take it back. So just be vigilant whenever you use any of these devices.
It's a very good answer. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Tushar. The addition, of course, that's a very good concern, which is when you download an application to your mobile phone and you use it, and then you see some weird, when you download a calculator, it asks for permission for the camera. So not very practical, or it should not be the case. I completely agree with you, and thank you so much, Mr. Asela, also for your answer. Now, we talked about data democratization and how it can be applied in companies, but at the end of the day, we need to find a way to measure, is it a success or is it a failure? How well did data democratization work in this specific company? So, Mr. Sanjeev, if you could touch on the simple points as to how can we measure the KPIs basically of the success, the failure of democratization.
I think it's working. So yeah, measurement is a key element of any initiative, right? Otherwise, we will not be able to understand the success of it. I think, in my view, the measurement, the simple measurement of a success or failure within an organization in data democratization is how fast the decisions are being made using data, and how accurate they are. So if we measure that, I mean, as an organizational level, the decisions that organization is taking based on the data available, if the decisions are faster than before, comparing to the before when you didn't had a proper platform to democratize data, and if the decisions are faster, then that means there's a success. And also, if the decisions are being accurate, then it's a success of the data platform. Now, what he mentioned before, now the data is basically, what we see is mostly biased, right? Many organizations, especially government organizations, the data set is always biased. I don't know whether in Sri Lanka or not, but you can think about it. But data is a lot biased. I mean, when you look at the data of some of these esteemed organizations, some of these esteemed banks, it looks like the country is developing, but actually it isn't. So the data is biased. So how can you make sure that your platform enables that the data is not biased? That is where you bring in technologies like AI to see and measure that the data set is clean. So those type of data will create more of accurate decisions. And also, when you build a common platform to democratize the data, how frequently that platform is being accessed. If that platform is frequently accessed, used, that means there's actually use of that data. That can be another success or a success metrics, KPI, to measure that this works well. So I think overall, the measuring your data success at an organizational level is pretty much within that level. And at a national level, there can be more KPIs, more success metrics. And one thing that I can think of is the data breach, how like number of data breach that can happen, and how you have avoid is kind of a important aspect in looking at success of this. So if you are looking at a designing proper platform to make sure that the data is available across the organization, within the organization, then I think this type of data metrics has to be considered and used, and it all depends on your organization. And one thing to add to Shara is that how this culture is being implemented, how the cultural mindset has been implemented. I mean, that is something that can be measured, something has to be measured, and how the decisions are being used, decisions are being taken by the data. And so it all depends, right? Not every one of us are taking decisions based on data every time. Sometimes, for example, as an entrepreneur, I take some of these decisions based on my gut feeling. But I would like to see if there are any data that is backing my decision or that is against my decision. I'd like to compare and contrast and still take the risk or not take the risk. I'd like to be informed in making decision, but I'd rather take a decision out of my gut. But that's a different story. But you need to be able to have the data to make the decision. Now, in our country, are we as citizens, are we taking decisions based on our data? No, we aren't. We are not even looking at our personal finances to make a decision to whether to get a loan or whether to get a house or whether to get a car. Our decisions are purely based on the inspirations or based on the cool things that is out there so that we can go and buy, but our decisions are not made based on the data. So that is kind of as a country, we are lacking. Now, for example, I mean, this country wouldn't be in this situation if we took the decisions at the political level using data. We are never looking at politics. We are never looking at data, right? We never look at it. We just look at the person's persona or their glamour or their attractiveness, those things. So it's all about measuring how much data is being used in decision making. So that is the key element, success KPI or success metrics that I would say.
Brilliant. And basing everything on data can itself have advantages and also disadvantages as well. But having a solid foundational basis with data can go a long way for your organizations. So talking theoretically can make everything look practical, but when you apply it in a practical sense, that can be an issue. So Ms. Asela, if you could talk to us about how we can, briefly, if you can talk to us about how we can practically apply data democratization in Sri Lankan companies, because companies like, so according to the Harvard Business Review, what they have said is companies like IBM, Airbnb, and Spotify, they have already used these initiatives like data catalogs and making communities in their own environments, taking the data scientists, taking the data analysts, and themselves training the employees. So in Sri Lanka, we believe that's not the case. So we talked earlier, there is a lack for data scientists and data analysts, basically to crunch the numbers. There is a shortage. So what's your opinion on what to do in a Sri Lankan context in applying data democratization?
Interesting question. I'll try to keep it short because I know you want to open it up for Q&A. There's two aspects to this. One is government. I'll get to that. The other one is private sector. There is private sector companies that have been very successful in actually democratizing their data and actually sharing it even to a wide degree in terms of getting a competitive advantage. Now, I'll give you a good example because this is quite public. That's why I can discuss it. Dialog Asiata has something called Idea Mart. IdeaMart is literally a collection of APIs within the telco, within their own telco environment, that they have exposed to outside entrepreneurs, developers, so on and so forth. And actually, if you follow their guidelines and procedures and you do enroll in the IdeaMart platform, you are given access to literally, well, I wouldn't say customer data, but you can, for example, validate a customer, use your mobile wallet's credit limit to push a product or service, to push a value-added service which you have created. And there's a lot of people who've been very successful of that. I think one of the most successful platforms on it is a gentleman who made an astrology thing. So basically you call every day and they gives you a very personalized astrological prediction. But the point is this: actually there are companies, and of course there are FMCG companies that done it well, but there are companies that have done it well, so well that in fact it has given them a competitive advantage. It has sort of widened their footprint, and in terms of democratizing it and making some data available also. Now I know there are certain organizations that anonymize that data and share it with researchers. We have a problem in this country. We don't have quality data for research. That's a problem, full stop. And actually there are private organizations who have gone the extra mile to make sure that data is available, and that is through their democratization initiatives. So we have to be thankful for that, because sometimes it's easier for you guys even. I know how difficult it is for undergraduates to find data on a particular subject in order to do analysis or in order to give a forecast. It's very difficult. Now we move to government. Government has done a terrible job of it. Now Sri Lanka is a signatory to the Open Data Partnership. We signed in 2015. We had our first policy document somewhere in 2016, 2018, and there was supposed to be a follow-up document on that. It never happened. And not my assertion, independently they've looked at it, it's marginal, the improvement we had in terms of making data open for the public. I'll give you a good example, the example you took, weather data. By law, and you wondered why Med Department can't share it, by law they can't. So there's a legal barrier. However, there were entrepreneurs who wanted to actually develop personalized weather applications that were accessible to farmers so that they can actually forecast their farming activities. Now see the knock-on effect it's having. Now actually, had that data been available and democratized, you would have, perhaps without the government's involvement, had entrepreneurs going to farmers and making sure that the farming activities could be done in a more efficient manner. So this is what I'm talking about. And in terms of government, we're talking, we want to go to AI, we want to do certain things, good. But we must start with the fundamentals. The fundamental is sharing the data, making sure it's open. And I'll be remiss if I say just willy-nilly share the data. Of course there has to be controls, of course there has to be standards, of course there has to be security. But certainly in terms of government, there's a lot need to be done. We don't need to look far. If you look across the POC strait, India has done a fantastic job of democratizing their data. So much so that every year they have a data awards ceremony, Tushara, where they give the best department to how much open that their data sets are. They have an awards ceremony. That's the mindset that Tushara spoke about. Mindset spills over not only to private sector, it spills over to government as well. In my opinion, policy as well, because we have a problem of policy consistency in this country, and that's something I've spoken about a lot. But the point is, coming back to it, so it can be useful, and it can help citizens. Half the problems that we have, you waiting for a passport office, going there and waiting for that, you waiting to access government services, you waiting for something, can be, well, at least erased partially if we had a data democratization initiative, a proper planned democratization initiative. We have signed the convention in Mexico 2015. Can you imagine? How long ago was that? And how much have we done it beyond that? We haven't. So very good at doing token services, but we must be more focused than this, because these are not rocket science. The gentleman here will tell you, these are not rocket science. However, it's the will and intent to do it. So Those are the two sides of the coin. One where private sector has been successful. There are case studies like IdeaMart, and government sector who has not been, simply because the lack of policy consistency.
Such an all-round answer. I was thinking about what to say. Thank you so much, Ms. Asela. Because this is the truth. At the end of the day, Sri Lanka says that they are a developing nation, but we don't have anything to show. The time moves on, but we don't have anything solid, structural thing to say, okay, we have done this in any aspect. But there are, of course, there are good initiatives being taken all across the country, but then again, we hit that roadblock of regulatory issues, like you said, about the meteorological data. Now, Mr. Tushar, I want to pick your brain for a moment, because you are from a mobile background, you're from well-known tech giant Samsung. So, what are the predictions of the future? If we look at the future of data democratization within companies, specifically maybe Samsung, maybe Apple, or whatever it might be, in the mobile industry, what does the future look like?
I think that's a very good question, because most of these are undergraduate, so they are the one who is gonna drive the future. Okay, so the future prediction, whatever I can say here, but you can define what it should be and what it's gonna be. Okay, so whatever I say, it's up to you whether you will take it up or not. But let me take from the history, learning, so how it's gonna be. So number one, in the future, when it comes to the data democracy, everything will be AI driven. It's everything. There won't be anything which is not AI driven. Even now, I think you know about ChatGPT, right? I don't think anyone is not there who doesn't know ChatGPT. How many of you know about Copilot? Anyone? Copilot?
Because you don't have to be shy, you can raise your hand.
Yeah. This is a discussion. It's just not we only should talk. We want your input also, then only we can take it up. So Copilot is Microsoft AI kind of a, how can I say, AI initiative, but which is a paid system. Okay, but if you have kind of a Microsoft 365 something, you will be getting this pilot thing freely. So this is one of the tools even professionals use. Okay, so believe me, there will be time you don't have to type anything, okay, but you have to just say to your laptop or your mobile device, I just need this sort of article, this sort of a strategy, and I need 10 slides including this is information, and regarding this one, so my forecasting is this much, and my end result will be this much, so this sort of thing I just need. And it will take maximum of 1 or 2 minutes. You will have your slides, you will have your script, you will have your data, you will have your sources, references, everything in a maximum of 2 to 3 minutes max. This will be the future. I'm pretty sure you also already use ChatGPT. I mean, like, if anybody is there who doesn't use ChatGPT right now, I think this lectures panel is there, so they must be probably loving whether they are telling the truth or not, right? Even I use for my PhD. So yes, we use, but how we use, that's a different thing. So use it, but in a proactive way and in a very ethical way. Okay, number one, everything will be AI driven. Second thing, the decision making, okay, most of the cases, decision making will be happen on behalf of you. Sometimes you may not able to take the decisions for you, because based on your background, based on your AI applications, and based on your basic data, your decision is already being made. So let me, I understand maybe there's a confusion how it's going to be happen. Okay, let me tell you one thing. If you go to a bank to take a loan, can you define your loan amount? Yes, of course, you can request, I need this much, but you can't define, right? So that definition comes from your data background, whether you have any outstandings, any credit card outstanding, what sort of a quality repayment cycle you have. So that decision is already there. So you can't make that decision for you. So this will be more practical in a way. Maybe sometimes when you go to supermarket, your phone will get all the notifications. Okay, what are the items in my fridge, and these are the items I need to get into my home. So this how this comes. So this comes with the data democracy. Okay, because what sort of person you are. Okay, so okay, let's say you just search maybe 1 week back. You just need to have a certain chocolate brand. Okay, so now let's say you go to a special supermarket where all the brands are available. Then you will get a notification. See, you search for this chocolate and you will get the this chocolate at this place. This will be your future. So second thing is the decision making will be much easier. And third one, you will have a very data driven and very skilled persons in the future. Okay. Well, because why I say even now also, right, you always use the data to analyze anything but everything. Anything. Even if you go for a toothpaste, you will analyze certain data. Okay, but why I'm bringing this kind of example, because in the background your data is already being used. Okay, so some days, okay, you can't even decide what sort of a clothing you want to wear, because based on your pattern, what sort of a trend you have, your clothing is already set for you, because your mindset is there. Okay, so that sort of a future we will have. Everything will be data driven. There will be nothing that left that there is no any data. If you go to hospital, everything is data driven. If you go to school, campus, university, everywhere. Even if you order taxi, you may get that feasibility. If you prefer some brands, it's happening already, right? Even in Singapore, if you have traveled frequently in a specific cab, then when you order next time, you will get that sort of similar cab. You won't get different cab. So it's already happening. It's there. And it will improve more quickly also. And plus, you will have lesser security of your data, because you are open to most of the things. You may not have a proper control over your data. So that is kind of a negative point actually, like Asel said. So even though there are governance, but the governance can't control everything. So that's why initially I also said you need to control your data. You are responsible for your data. So these are the few projections what I see in the future. Maybe the future what I'm talking, and not maybe for Sri Lanka for another 5-6 years. But some of the things it's already happening in the other countries, and some of the things may take 1 or 2 years. But anyhow, it is a pretty good environment we will have to, rather than conceptualizing our own mindset, but to having a data-driven culture.
Thank you, Mr. Tushara, and that was an all-round answer as to how data democratization will evolve in the future, his perception. Data democratization in itself is something worth exploring rather than just leaving it out, and that's why we had this discussion today. That's why we thought of having this topic as the panel discussion of this exposition launching ceremony. So, and with that, we have come towards the latter part of this program. So I promised earlier that we will be having a Q&A session. So now is the time for the individuals in the audience, if they have any questions to ask our wonderful panelists, Mr. Alsela, Mr. Tushar, and Mr. Sanjeeva, the time is yours. Anyone can raise their own concerns. This is an open forum, open discussion. You can ask about anything related to data democratization, the challenges you think. The floor is open to you to ask questions. after a very long conversation, I would like to believe that there are some questions from the audience.
Come on, please ask at least one or two questions. That's okay. It can be even a wild card. It doesn't matter.
Yes. We have
Alex. My name is Dr. Jagatalli. I am the executive chairman of Serenco General Insurance. And my experience I just want to share with you, because Med department is not sharing their statistics with most of the, other than with the government organization, they don't share with the private sector organization. So for the insurance companies to, particularly to do the crop insurance, you need a lot of statistics. So then actually we are privately collecting these statistics, as you very correctly say. That price, the cost will built into the product. Sometimes that product may not be viable. But if that freely available statistics, if they could share with us, that will be, the benefit will go to the farmer. But unfortunately, some of these acts are passed long time ago in 1930s, 40s. So that time, that may be okay, but time has come to change these things, then change our thinking and be with the, so this is some thing the government department has to do. Like for example, when you go to get a passport, and they already have all other information about us. Why do you want to fill a form, wait in the queue, and do all these things? So I mean, things have to change, you know. I'm sure with the younger generation, the people like professionals like you all, these things will change. And I also congratulate the University of California Faculty of Business Management. I'm an alumni of the university, but I'm here as in a different role as a chairman of ICBT campus, so one of the sponsors. So congratulations, boys and girls. Well done, good job done, and thank you very much for the panel for their ideas.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for that question, because it was quite an interesting take on that, and Ms. Alcil would like to answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor, for raising that point. And I'll answer your question, because that question was something I raised in a very closed-door policy discussion. Why do we need to give government information? The question I asked was, because when the tin was being collected, why do you need any individual citizen of this country to fill out the information? Because ideally the tin could be auto-generated, because the government already has that information. And I'll answer that question to you, which is the point you made. The laws have been made so long ago, sometimes in the colonial period. By design, these state institutions cannot share data in between each other. They can't. The motor traffic department can't share the information with the tax department. The tax department can't share the information with. It's a mess. So until you know, there's so much talk about digitizing the state sector. If you don't tackle this problem of actually siloed data being lodged in all over the place, and it's replicated by you. The tax department has the same data that the NIC department has. The passport has the same data. And sometimes there's discrepancies within that data. Your Grama Sevaka has the same data. Yet if there's something else, you have to go and fill a form with 10,000 different data cells. Why? Why? This is where really we need to use data democratization. And I'll say that finally as well, because the citizens of this country deserve it. So no digitization initiative of the government will be successful, any government, until you tackle this problem of looking at modernizing the laws and how data is shared between state institutions. You don't do that, you can't crack this puzzle. You can't. You can buy any system you want, you can buy any amount of servers you want, you can bring any tech company from the world. Until you change these policies, it will never move. So that is probably my closing remark that I have to say. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic discussion. And do we have any more questions before we close the Industrial Forum 2024? We would like to have one more question if we would, if someone, undergraduates are also open to ask questions.
You can pass the chit also, no issue.
I think we had this conversation very recently. We had a session. Sri Lankans are very, they're not expressive by nature, but they will have the best of ideas. But then again, if you don't show it, if you don't show it to the person that matters, then it doesn't work out. Can be applied for many situations in life. Anyways, so I believe we don't have any more questions. And with that, we believe we can wind up this year's Industrial Forum at Exposition Magazine 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause to these gentlemen right here? Because we should applaud them, because these are the individuals in the forefront, who are capable of implementing data democratization in their own organizations, and they're in a personal journey to make that happen as well. So thank you so much, Mr. Asela Vaidalankara. Thank you so much, Mr. Tushar Ratnavira. And also thank you so much, Mr. Sanjeev Alvis, for joining with the Industrial Management Science Students Association organized Exposition Magazine Industrial Forum. And with that, we wind up the Industrial Forum. Hope you learned something. And one small request before I wind up things. If you learned something today here at the Industrial Forum, definitely you're open to share the information on LinkedIn or wherever you might wish. You can share it, because the reason why we're holding an Industrial Forum in itself is to educate, because we have the undergraduate community of the University of California right here. So this is the future. We are the future. So we believe that this forum definitely contributed immensely for that matter. So with that, we'd like to wind up. It's me, Sonal Paramithana, saying goodbye. Back to you, Hastika and Managi, the main compeers of the event. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the conclusion of the Exposition Industrial Week 2024. It was a session that deserves a lot of commendation.
And this invitation is to Dr. Dilani Vikramarachi, Senior Lecturer at the Department of Industrial Management, to hand over the tokens of gratitude for our panelists. So let us have the honor of inviting our esteemed panelist, Mr. Asela Vaidalankara, Mr. Tushara Ratnavira, and Mr. Sanjeeva Alvis. Thank you, everyone.
This time, Exposition was prolonged with the inclusion of an industrial week, an admirable initiative by the Industrial Management Science Students Association. It aimed to provide undergraduates with enhanced access to engage with and explore opportunities in major global corporate entities. It was also empowered by several esteemed partners from the industry. Let us introduce the official partners for the Exposition Industrial Week 2024.
London Stock Exchange Group plc is a trusted global financial market, infrastructure and data provider. Now let me present to you LSAG, one of the talent partners for Exposition Industrial Week 2024.
Stretchline is leading the way as the world's largest manufacturer of narrow elasticated fabric and a major supplier of covered elastometric yarn and textile coating. Let me introduce Stretchline, one of our talent partners for Exposition Industrial Week 2024.
Expert Education is one of the best education consultancy in Sri Lanka with leading education consultants to support students. And it is with great pleasure we introduce Expert Education as the education partner for Exposition Industrial Week 2024.
With a rich heritage spanning decades, Elephant House offers a range of premium products that cater to discerning tastes. From refreshing beverages to delectable snacks, each item embodies excellence and a commitment to customer satisfaction. Introducing our official beverage partner for Exposition Industrial Week 2024, Elephant House. In addition, the Exposition Industrial Week 2024 was graced more industrial experts including John Keells Holdings, Advantis, Fortitude, Cambio, Ernst & Young, Logica, Connex IT, etc. And now let us move on to another important moment of today's proceedings. Along with the Exposition Issue 19, we conducted the Edify annual inter-university and intra-departmental article competition.
To a vivid expression, 250 plus undergraduates, 20 plus universities, 15 finalists. Unleashing thoughts through the powerful blend of innovative, artistic, and creative articulations. Edify 2023 proudly presents the winners of the Inter-University Article Writing Competition and the Intra-Departmental Article Writing Competition. The declaration is upon us.
We got more than 100 articles from the universities all around Sri Lanka. However, after careful review and consideration, we have chosen the best among the best. So now let's unveil the winners of Inter-University Article Competition.
First, we are moving on to the most popular award. To present the certificate, I invite Mr. Dinesh Asankar, lecturer at the Department of Industrial Management, on stage. The most popular article of Edify 2023, the Inter-University Article Competition. The award goes to the author of E-Commerce Chronicles, the stage of online business in Sri Lanka, Ms. Vipuli Prabhamini of the University of Kelaniya.
Next up, the second runner-up of the Inter-University Article Competition. The second runner-up of the Inter-University category of Edify Article Competition is the author of Unveiling the IoT Revolution in Agriculture, Mr. Sudeep Lakshan from the University of Peradeniya.
And the first runner-up for the inter-university category goes to the author of AI for the Cozy Little Corner Shop, AI for Small Business Marketing, Ms. Ashmini Karunaratne from the University of Colombo.
And now, the winner of Edify 2023 is the author of the article, Financially Fit or Personally Fit, Ms. Diniti Lawrence Weava from the University of Kelaniya.
Thank you, sir.
It's now time to award the winners of the intra-departmental article competition. To distribute the certificates, I cordially invite the Senior Lecturer of the Department of Industrial Management, Dr. Tilini Manam. The second runner-up of the intra-departmental article competition is the author of Get Connected, Sadly It's Disconnected, Mr. Pasindu Bhanukar.
Next, let me announce the first runner-up of the interdepartmental article competition. The award goes to the author of Scarcity of Entrepreneurship Disciplines in Sri Lanka, a major impediment to economic growth, Mr. Sanjitha Nimsara.
And now, the winner of the Intradepartmental Article Competition 2023. The author of Quantum Computing Unleashing the Potential of the Quantum Frontier, Ms. Kushani Apsara.
Thank you, madam. Research is about seeing the familiar with fresh eyes and thinking the extraordinary in the ordinary. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to announce the winners of this year's Undergraduate Research Excellence Award. The award recognizes exceptional research that has been conducted in the areas of MIT and IT. To present the awards and respective cash prizes, I would like to cordially invite the Senior Lecturer of the Department of Industrial Management, Dr. Kirti Vijay Sirivardhana, on stage.
And now, let me have the honor of unveiling the winner in the field of Management and Information Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, the Undergraduate Research Excellence Award for the Management and Information Technology goes out to Ms. Ruanti Pereira with her research on adaptability of blockchain technology into project management.
Moving on, I have the honor of uncovering the winner in the field of information technology. Ladies and gentlemen, the Undergraduate Research Excellence Award for Information Technology goes to Mr. Nipuna Munasinghe. Thank you, sir.
International Conference on Smart Computing and Systems Engineering 2023, which we commonly known as SCSE, organized by the Department of Industrial Management, marked its sixth consecutive year in 2023. Esteemed delegates from corporate and academic backgrounds, including renowned academics, research scholars, and industry experts, gathered to exchange ideas on recent innovations, emerging trends, and practical challenges in the industrial and service sectors related to smart computing and systems engineering. Dr. Yasantha Rajakarna Naikal, Vice President of Research and AI Technology at Analog Inference, California, United States, delivered an enlightening talk on innovation in the age of artificial intelligence.
The papers were awarded with two significant awards. So let us move on to the distribution of certificate for the two award winners. To present the award, I invite Senior Lecturer Dr. Amila Vithanarachchi, Conference Chair for SCSC 2023 on stage. And the Best Paper Award, Smart Computing Track, integrating weather patterns into machine learning models for improved electricity demand forecasting in Sri Lanka by Ms. Shani Abevikrama. Thank you, sir.
In outreaching the brand name of IMSSA, the Industrial Management Science Students Association, the media partners do a significant job. So let us introduce the media partners for the Exposition Industrial Week 2024 and Exposition Issue 19.
Ceylon Newspaper Private Limited is a cornerstone of journalistic integrity and excellence in Sri Lanka. For decades, they have been at the forefront of delivering timely and reliable news coverage reflecting the pulse of the nation. We take immense pride in introducing Ceylon Today and Mawbima as the official printed media partners for Exposition.
Industry TV is the electronic television channel for Sri Lankan industry dedicated to building an informative and interactive platform that showcases the latest development, innovations, and insights within the nation's industrial landscape. Let me introduce Industry TV, one of the official digital media partners for Exposition.
Vidulakara TV is a digital media platform launched by the Mass Communication and Media Unit of the University of Kelaniya, introducing Vidulakara TV as one of the official digital media partners for Exposition.
Kalani's team serves as the media unit for the Faculty of Science, University of Kelaniya, giving the media coverage for almost all the events, showcase the talents of our own undergraduates. Introducing Kalani's team as one of the digital media partners for Exposition.
Evansis is propelling industries into the future, transforming operations and customer experiences with low-code solutions that unlock unprecedented levels of efficiency and innovation. We are truly honored to be partnered up with the Evansis Private Limited as the title partner for Exposition Issue 19. Now, let me invite Mr. Rajakumar Darshan, Global Director for HR of Evansis Private Limited, to address the gathering.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us here today, and we are very happy to be the title sponsors for this event. And I think we have been continuously sponsoring this for the 2 years, and we are happy about it. So, yeah, first of all, my greetings to all academic staff here, the speakers, and the students. So, a warm wishes to all IMSSA members who have been organizing this throughout all these 19 editions. So it's a great work, and I think this feat is not easy to achieve, and the contributions of past students, right? Their hard work and everything had accumulated in organizing or continuing that legacy, and to have a 19th edition also released. And I wish all the very best for the entire team to continue for many more years to come, and many more releases to be fruitful to the industry, the society, and everyone. So so let me just take you through as Evansis, like what we have done, and it's a brief introduction about ourselves. Can we move to the next slide? Next one. Right. So basically, we started this organization 9 years back, and it's just a small team of 5 members, and we were into the low code platform. We were specialized into it, and back then in Delaware, USA, the executive committee, the small team, right? Today they are the executive committee, and so we formed it, and so the next slide, you can see the timeline here. So early 2000s is where, like, we all have been in the corporate sectors. We have been working on many things, and then 2015 is where we had this company formed in Delaware. And so in 2016 we had the privilege of co-present with Pega Systems. So Pega is our main technology that we practice, and so people who know that, they know that Pega is being practiced by some of the top tier companies in the world, and like Fortune 500 companies and everyone. They all their business solutions, everything is in that platform. So we are happy to be presenting, co-presenting with Pega Systems in 2016 Cybos conference. and moving forward, like, you know, up to 2018, 2019, 2020, we were able to partner with Pegasystems and be the platinum sponsorship there as well in the US. And so you can see our growth up until 2022, where we expand our technology spectrum to other platforms as well. So we became a Pega specialist, I would say, the technology providers, and then we introduced or we incorporated other low-code platforms such as OutSystems, Salesforce, Mendix, all these in the couple of 2 years, and those we are growing in those directions as well. Yeah, next slide. Okay, so today, as of now, this is our presence. So headquartered in Delaware, and then we have the offshore centers in Colombo, Canada, Australia, Netherlands, Singapore, and also there are a couple of centers in India as well. So next slide. So these are the technologies that I spoke about, and so Pegasystems is a Java-based enterprise development platform, and that we target that to the high-end clients, right? So we provide services there, and then in strategically expanding our operations in other or targeting the other markets, we incorporated things like OutSystems, which is a .NET based high performance low code platform, and at the same time a specialist tool platform, the CRM Salesforce as well. So we have our own incubation at Evonsys, where we train and develop people to be corporate ready in those platforms as well. So we engage with many universities as well. So obviously Calania is one of them, and then we have our partnerships with other universities as well, where we intake a lot of students in, and we train them with our own training setup to make them industry ready, to get them certified, and you know, make them, I mean, we share our experience and everything, and then, you know, we take them through the corporate path with Pega, OutSystems, and Salesforce. So now we started with 5, I told you, like, this started by 5 people, and then today, like, we are around 520 employees globally. So being I mean, that's a great feat for us, but still it's considered as a mid-sized organization, but we are still growing. But for a mid-sized organization like us to have a framework like this, I think that's a great thing to achieve as well. So we have our own product development as well. Although we are a services company, we have our own product development wing as well, and at the same time we have our own BA group, the UI UX practice, and then at the same time the QA and the Center of Excellence. The managed services is another key unit of Evonsys, and the the PMO practices. So achieving all round framework and to launch ourselves to the coming years, I think that's something that we consider, you know, it's a good place to be in. Yeah, next step, next slide, please. Yeah. So here you can see a snapshot of all our clients that we have partnered and we are servicing. So you can see all the big names here, and so I mean, our pipeline is heavy, and we are expanding rapidly, and sooner we will be 1,000 employee organization as well, and you know, for the next 3 to 4 years we have a path, we have a plan, we have a roadmap on expansion and everything with all these clients and the partners. So you can see, like, you have a variety of the business domains. Can we go to the next slide? So if you can see, like, predominantly we are into banking and financial services. At the same time, you have the insurance, the telecom, healthcare sectors, and other government sectors as well. So our business domain spans out like this. Yeah, next one. So you can see our growth in this slide. So up to 2019, we have been building the organization, and we started to take off from 2019. That's a exponential growth. You can see that, and especially, like, 2019, everyone knows, with the COVID and the lockdown and everything, the most challenged years are the 2019, 2020, 2021, the economic crisis. You take everything together, but that was the time that we were also growing. So that really shows us how much hard work had been put from 2015 to 2019 for us to launch, even through the difficult times, to come to a level we are right now. And so we are in a better position, much better position, to launch ourselves for the next 4 to 5 years as well. Next slide. Right. So I was talking about our own training programs. I think, there are a lot to speak, but I just choose to speak few things here, just to address the students, like, corporate readiness. I mentioned that word as well. So you all learn here a lot of basics, a lot of principles, a lot of stuff, and you do a lot of research. And at the same time, like, when you go to the next step, like when you pass out from the university and get into the corporate sector, it's a different ball game, and you got to prepare yourself to the market. And the market is very wide. You can choose your own stream, your own path. It's just an ocean. So so what we do is that we have built our own training incubation in Evonsys, where all the talents, the students, the freshers, the interns, so we provide all these I would say, we have this collaboration, right? So then we have all the students, they come in, they go through all the training, training framework, and they become trained in all those certifications. So if you take PEGA, it's a 4 months comprehensive initial training that we do, and you get CSA, that's the first level of certification. So then you become a professional PEGA certified developer, right? So then you go to the next level. While you work with us, you get yourself upgraded with all those certifications. And Evonsys, we sponsor those certifications, so it's an in-house thing. And so we have expanded our work culture, or maybe the business model, to other technologies as well, the Salesforce, OutSystems, and also, apart from the development, we also go into the QA, BA, and also the PMO streams as well. I thought maybe something for you all to know, that what we do in Evonsys, we groom you to be professionals and to be ready for the corporate sector. Right. Next. Yeah. So I think that's all from me. I'm not taking much of your time. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and hopefully we'll be here in next year's edition as well. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir, for your speech and invaluable support. Your commitment has truly elevated our event to new heights.
Now, we would like to acknowledge the invaluable contributions made by our partners who have generously provided their resources, expertise, and time to make this event possible. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Thamidu Dilhara, President of the Industry Management Science Students Association, to do the honor of presenting tokens of appreciation.
The title partner for Exposition Issue 19, Avances Private Limited. I invite Mr. Rajakumar Darshan, Global Director of HR at Avances Private Limited, to collect the token. Gold partner for Exposition Issue 19, Connex IT. For that, I cordially invite the company representative on stage to receive the tokens of appreciation.
Bronze partner for Exposition Issue 19 ICBT Campus. To receive the token, we have Dr. Jagat Alvis, the chairman of ICBT Campus. There is one silver partner for Exposition Issue 19 GTN Technologies. So I invite a representative from this company to get the token. Talent partner for Exposition Industrial Week 2024 Stretchline. To have the token, I invite one representative from that company. Thank you, Mr. Tamilu. Once again, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed partners who are collaborating with us to make Exposition a great success. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the end of today's event, this invitation goes to Chamil Lehampath, Editor-in-Chief of Exposition Issue 19, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. It is with great pleasure that I stand here today as the editor-in-chief of Exposition Issue 19 to deliver the word of thanks. First of all, I would like to convey my gratitude to Senior Professor Sudat Kalingamudali, Dean of the Faculty of Science, for gracing this occasion with their presence here today. Then, my special thanks goes to our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Diane Gomez, Honorary Consul of Georgia. His insightful ideas and valuable experience added more value to this event. And also, I need to thank Ms. Kanchana Priyakanta, Dr. Anand Handunge, Dr. Upendra Piris, and Mr. Santush Veeraman for adding value to our magazine with their enlightening thoughts and for spending valuable time on this successful initiative. The Industrial Forum on Data Democracy was an epic element of today's event. So I must thank our guest speakers, Mr. Asela Vaidalankara, Mr. Tushara Ratnaveera, and Mr. Sanjeeva Alvis for gracing us with their presence and sharing their invaluable insight at the Industrial Forum 2024. Your expertise and perspectives has enriched our event. A special thank goes to Mr. Priyandani Mel, the Vice President, Technology at Evansis, and all the representatives for being a strong pillar behind us, partnering up with us as the title partner for Exposition Issue 19. Further, I convey my gratitude to all other partners: Gold Partner, Connex IT, Silver Partners, Cygenix, Logicare, and GTN. Bronze Partners, Fortitude, MS Holdings, and ICBT Campus. Your unwavering dedication and commitment have been instrumental in making this venture a reality. This time, Exposition was expanded to a new extent with an industrial week featured with a number of reputed corporate giants. I must thank our talent partners LSEG and State Line, education partner Expert Education, and beverage partner Elephant House for the Industrial Week 2024. And also, my sincere gratitude goes to all the companies who join us for the open day of Exposition Industrial Week 2024. Your presence made this event a success. A special thank goes to our public relation partners, official print and media partners, Silan Today and Mavima, official digital media partners, Industry TV, Vidulakara TV, and Cananis team. Also, MTV for their support in outreaching this significant event with several PR initiatives. I thank all the company representatives, esteemed alumni of the Department of Industrial Management, undergraduates from the universities all around Sri Lanka, and all other guests for taking time off their busy schedules to be present here today. Next, I should remember a very special group of people who were always behind us, guiding us and showing us the right way to go ahead. It is none other than our academic staff, headed by Dr. Ruan Vikumarachi, Head of the Department of Industrial Management. All the lecturers and junior staff members for being the pillars of our success. There is another person that we cannot forget on this memorable occasion. He is Professor Janaka Vijayanayaka, although he is not present here today. We all know the amount of strength and courage that he has given us so far in this significant success of ours. Also, my thanks goes to the non-academic staff of the Department of Industrial Management for helping us behind the scenes, making sure everything goes smoothly during the events. My sincere thanks goes to our seniors as well as the juniors for supporting in every mean of this event. Last but not least, a very big thank goes to my team Expo and my fellow batchmates who were there with me from the very beginning. Your dedication, commitment, and tiring sleepless nights didn't go unnoticed. Thank you for making Exposition Issue 19 a very big success. Once again, thank you all for being a part of Exposition. Hope to Hope to see you all with another milestone of exposition next year. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chamil. As we call it a day on this remarkable journey of Exposition Issue 19, let us carry forward the energy and insight garnered within these boundaries. May the pages of this unique masterpiece serve as a beacon guiding us towards a future brimming with possibility. Until we meet again, let's continue to push the boundaries of innovation and excellence.
Thank you for joining this remarkable day of the magazine launch ceremony of Exposition Issue 19.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem.
Yum, yum, we no